In the year 1215, a significant event was about to unfold. England was ruled by a king named John, a monarch whose reign would be remembered for its turmoil. King John was not a popular ruler. His subjects viewed him with disdain and mistrust. He taxed his people heavily to fund his wars, often breaking his promises to them. The burden of these taxes weighed heavily on the common folk. Imagine being a farmer back then, working tirelessly to grow your crops, only to have the king take a large part of your harvest. It was a harsh reality for many. This angered many people, especially the wealthy and powerful barons who felt disrespected by the king's actions. They believed their rights were being trampled upon. King John had promised to uphold the laws of the land, but he often ignored them. His word meant little to those he ruled. He would throw people in jail without a fair trial just because they disagreed with him. This abuse of power was intolerable. Imagine being punished for simply speaking your mind. The fear of retribution was ever present. This injustice couldn't stand, and the people of England, led by the barons, decided to take a stand against their king. They demanded change, leading to the historic signing of the Magna Carta. The barons were absolutely furious with King John's behavior, which had become intolerable. They had had enough of his broken promises, deceitful actions, and unfair treatment that seemed to have no end. Determined to put an end to this, they decided to confront the king directly and demand that he respect their rights and privileges. In those days, challenging the king was a dangerous and risky thing to do, often leading to severe consequences. Nevertheless, the barons, along with their loyal knights and soldiers, courageously marched upon the king's stronghold. They met at a significant field called Runnymede, which was located near a river known as the Thames. The tension was palpable as the two sides faced each other, each aware of the high stakes involved. The barons presented the king with a carefully crafted document that outlined their demands and expectations. This document, which would later be known as Magna Carta, would become one of the most important in history. Magna Carta, meaning Great Charter in Latin, laid the foundation for many legal principles that we still value today. Magna Carta wasn't just a list of demands, it was a set of rules that even the king would have to follow. It was a groundbreaking document that laid the foundation for modern democracy and the rule of law. One of the most important parts of Magna Carta was the idea that everyone, even the king, was subject to the law. This principle was revolutionary and challenged the absolute power of the monarchy. This meant that the king couldn't just do whatever he wanted. He was bound by the same laws as his subjects, ensuring a more just and fair governance. He had to follow the rules just like everyone else. This concept of accountability was a significant step towards establishing a more balanced and equitable society. This was a revolutionary idea at the time. It inspired future generations to fight for their rights and freedoms. Another important part of Magna Carta was the right to a fair trial. This was a crucial safeguard against arbitrary imprisonment and abuse of power. This meant that no one could be thrown in jail without being judged by a jury of their peers. It established the principle of due process, which is still a cornerstone of legal systems today. This protected people from being unfairly punished by the king or anyone else in power. It was a significant step towards ensuring justice and fairness for all. King John, faced with the overwhelming force of the barons, reluctantly agreed to their demands and sealed Magna Carta with his royal seal. This act was not just a concession, but a monumental shift in the balance of power. This act marked a significant shift in power. It was the beginning of a new era, where the rule of law began to take precedence over the whims of rulers, paving the way for the development of constitutional governance. Section 4. Echoes of Freedom. Although King John tried to go back on his word after signing Magna Carta, it remained a powerful symbol of the people's rights. Over the centuries, Magna Carta was reissued and reconfirmed by many English monarchs. Each time, it strengthened the idea that the law applied to everyone equally. The ideas within Magna Carta, like the right to a fair trial and the idea that the law applies to everyone equally, began to spread throughout the world. These ideas influenced revolutions and reforms in many countries, inspiring people to fight for their own freedoms. Section 5. Magna Carta's legacy around the world. Magna Carta's influence reached far beyond the shores of England. Its principles echoed in the American Declaration of Independence, which declared that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted in 1948, also draws inspiration from Magna Carta. This document outlines the fundamental rights and freedoms that every human being is entitled to, regardless of their race, religion, gender, or any other status. Section 6. A timeless message. Magna Carta may have been written over 800 years ago, but its message still resonates today. It reminds us that power should not be absolute and that everyone deserves to be treated fairly under the law. Even today, people around the world still fight for the rights and freedoms that Magna Carta first championed. Magna Carta serves as a reminder that we must never stop fighting for justice, equality, and the rule of law. It is a document that belongs to all of us, and its legacy continues to inspire us to build a fairer and more just world for generations to come.